When you design your home, it's sometimes about creating an empty space. Are you intrigued? Welcome to JA Atelier, the podcast where intentional interior design meets mindful living. I'm your host, Jihan Askar, and I'm here with you on this journey to transform our living spaces into sanctuaries that reflect our unique story, personality, style, and lifestyle, while elevating our everyday life at home. So step inside my design workshop and let's design your home together. So in our homes, sometimes it's about what we remove, not what we add. Editing is just as important as selecting elements to put in our homes. When we remove unnecessary items, we create space for the ones that truly add meaning to the space and to our life. And we put these objects in the spotlight. So in this episode, I want to explore a design concept that's often overlooked, which is negative space, and why it's essential to creating visually and emotionally balanced, serene, and beautiful homes. It can actually enhance the beauty of the objects that you have. So what is negative space? Negative space is the empty area around your objects like furniture, art, accessories, decor. And it might sound like it's an empty and wasted space. It's actually what gives a room its structure and its appeal. Without negative space, the interior can feel overwhelming, cluttered, visually chaotic, and like your eye doesn't have a place to rest. And you're not guiding the eye throughout the space. When you create intentional gaps, it allows your space to breathe. So when we talk about negative space in design, it's not about making a room feel unfinished and empty, but it's allowing the key pieces to have the spotlight. Like I said, it helps guide the eye throughout the space, so it gives almost like a narrative to the space. When we give objects room to breathe, they draw our attention in a more deliberate way. So you create a focus, a visual interest, and a narrative. So a few things that you can create with that negative space is highlighting a focal point. Think about areas in your home you want to stand out. Could be a beautiful piece of art, a statement piece of furniture, or dramatic staircase. When you have empty space and nothing competing for attention around it, you allow that element to truly shine. The absence of the visual clutter creates like a frame around it and makes the focal point more powerful and impactful. You can also create visual balance. Negative space plays a role in balancing the visual weight in a room. If a room is filled from corner to corner, it can overwhelm the senses. And when you leave intentional gaps, you create a sense of openness and calm, which is especially important in rooms meant for rest and relaxation, for example, like bedrooms. It also improves functionality because beyond the aesthetics, negative space improves how we move through a room, how we interact in it. When the furniture and objects are too tightly packed, it restricts the movement and flow. And the negative space will make the room feel more open, accessible, and comfortable. And when we talk about negative space, we also need to think about the visual noise, the visual clutter. Negative space really reduces that. It creates room for your eyes to rest, making the space feel more expansive and maybe even peaceful. It simplifies the aesthetics of the room. So look at the overall aesthetic of each room and identify the pieces that make you feel overwhelmed. This could be furniture that's too bulky or decor that no longer aligns with your style. And when you remove these elements that feel heavy for you or out of place, you'll create a more balanced and simple aesthetic that appeals to you. and you're able to then focus on the key pieces. So rather than relying and trying to fill every corner, you just allow certain items like a statement chair or a piece of artwork to take that center stage. And then you surround these key pieces with negative space to let them truly stand out. So for me, and you've probably heard this before on this podcast, design is more than just about what a room looks like. It's about how it makes you feel. So negative space plays an important role in the emotional experience of a space. It offers a sense of calm because you walk into a room with a well-distributed negative space, it will feel more calm and serene, or it will give you a sense of intentionality in that space, that these spaces, the spaces that are full and the spaces that are empty, are designed intentionally. It allows, like we said, your eyes and your mind to rest, rather than constantly processing a lot of visual stimuli. And then you're curating with purpose. So the negative space really highlights intentionality in design. This restraint can evoke a sense of intention that every piece, including the empty space in the room, has been thoughtfully considered. There's also a misconception that negative space means a room that lacks personality or character. But when used intentionally, the negative space can actually add intrigue and even drama to a room. The contrast between positive and negative spaces can create a dynamic that's full of personality. Sometimes think about it, like breaking the rules, hanging art asymmetrically, or leaving one side of a wall empty can add that element of surprise. So you can play with negative spaces as part of the design itself. The important thing is to maintain that maintain that intentionality in choosing and selecting how you display everything in your home, like the furniture and the decor pieces. It's not a one-time process. It's an ongoing evolution because, first of all, your taste will change. The objects that you bring in might change. So one of the keys to maintaining negative space is to assess your home on a regular basis and make mindful choices about what you want to keep, what you want to remove, what do you want to even just move around. You might want to increase the negative space or make it smaller. Just assess once in a while. Just periodically go through your rooms and shift things around, remove things, add things, and see, does it make a difference or not? So another important thing to remember is that negative space is not necessarily about minimalism. It's not about just a place that is sterile and just feels like it lacks character. There is a subtle difference between empty space that is just left unattended and negative space that is intentionally selected. It's about the intention behind it, the balance, and allowing the objects to take center stage, especially the objects that you love. With negative space, you're giving your home the ability to breathe and your objects to shine. So those intentional gaps in design aren't just empty spaces, they create a specific feeling in that space. I hope today's episode inspired you to play with negative spaces and maybe look around your house and see, do I have enough of them? Do I want to add more? Do I want to remove some? And how can I balance the negative and positive spaces? And that the pieces you have and the space around them hold more meaning and intentionality to you. I will put also in the show notes my quiz so that you can discover your design style and vibe, and that might help you assess how you want to design those spaces, and also a mini guide to elevate your space with small intentional changes. Thank you for joining my atelier, and if you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a review or share it with a friend. You can also share that quiz too. I'll see you in the next episode.